That's good. That's good. I like that. That's.
Look,
Lord,
aim is one thing, and then execution is another.
That's right.
Which is the story of our lives.
All the planning in the world, but for a breeze.
Indeed. My brother Dennis, it's been like 4 weeks. Like, we have never had this long of a time off in all of our.
It's one thing. It was what they call one thing or another.
Yes, indeed.
There were songs about that.
True that.
One thing or another. Who is that? Come on. One thing or another. Huh? That's your generation, bro. Not mine.
No.
Was that Duran Duran?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Should we look it up? Should we take a moment?
Should we? Yeah. Let me get right on that. We go. The we of this is me waiting for you to do it. That's my involvement.
One way or another.
Yes.
I'm gonna find you. I'm gonna get you. That one. Song by.
Oh, that's the Pretenders.
Song by Bette Midler and Sarah Jessica Parker. What? That doesn't seem right.
No, you're looking at a
Hocus Pocus
musical bit. No.
Blondie.
Blondie.
Yes.
Bingo.
Yes, nailed it.
Bingo. I said Pretenders. That was closer.
I saw Blondie in concert in 1999 in fucking Denmark.
Oh, no,
and I was like, my friends were like, we're gonna go to this music festival, and I saw Blondie and Al Green and Blur.
Oh no shit!
Yeah,
Al Green.
The
really
not our Al Green, but
no, of course not the Al Green.
Yes. And it was just this music festival. Where they had all of these crazy acts that, but yeah, I mean, that's my claim to minimal fame.
Claim to Blondie fame.
Yes. But, so it's been, are you looking for a mute button so you can cough?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, just cough and I'll edit it. Here, I'll do one too. There. So since we have spoken at the last episode, I was in a hotel in Alicante, Spain, and there was a music thump going on in the background
in the pool next door, if I recall.
And what was going on down there was a party for some rich people. They were all in like ball gowns and tuxedos,
evening clothes,
and
right.
shit, and
formal.
And in the pool of the hotel, there were synchronized swimmers.
Oh.
There was a group of 4 women, and I had noticed them that afternoon practicing in that.
You have the most unnormal life
pool.
of anyone I know.
But apparently Spain does really well in synchronized swimming in the Olympics every year.
And now we know why.
They
never stop practicing.
They were, water dancing to ABBA and shit while we were trying to do our podcast.
Sure, man. ABBA.
But maybe
There's
Blondie too. I don't know.
Well, could be.
But
could be.
So since then, my parents have visited, and while they were here, I managed to contract COVID for the second time, which was delightful. It was.
How was it? Bad. Last time you had it, you said, I felt sick. No big deal.
The first time I had it, it was And this time too, the major drag was the quarantining. But the first time I felt fine and like went to work, even though I had to be watching my also COVID positive 8-year-old in the same apartment. But he was fine watching movies or whatever. This time it was I had like cold symptoms, sniffle and blowing my nose and stuff, but just a general feeling of I don't want to do any fucking thing today except for watch TV, which I did, and so I was able to consume some interesting television.
And we're currently not engaged together with any series. That's one of the things that makes the past 4 weeks different. We go with seasonal, obviously, but we're waiting for the beginnings of the new season with the strike and whatnot, which is now resolved.
Yes, exactly. But the TV show that I watched, mainly, I consumed one called Station 11.
Which I could not find here anywhere on HBO, which you tell me is, whether it's filmed here or not, we are the make-believe, we are the central location of the movie.
It's an apocalypse movie where a lot of the people start off in Chicago and they end up going around Michigan. There's this they end up forming, which was really interesting to me, the idea of, okay, whatever your previous job was is gone now. What are you going to dedicate the hours of the day to? Like once you have food and water, which was a very important initial part, your Maslow's pyramid or whatever, but a lot of them they formed this like traveling Shakespearean company, and they were just like they just went whole into art. Like, I want to be as creative and artistic as I can be, because I don't need to understand spreadsheets anymore, because what the fuck, like the economy, there's no economy anymore. I just want to be myself and spread my talents that way, and that was what happened. It says it's a miniseries that premiered on HBO Max on December 16th, 2021, and ran for 10 episodes. So it really should be on your HBO.
I know. I feel the same way. Well, I was excited and checked it out, and then the moment passed. They might be after me.
They
drive by. They drove by. Anyway, we've had,
did you? Is it available to you, and you just haven't found the time?
No. It was not available to me in the full search I did. My search didn't include whether or not I am, in fact, as I thought I was, part of HBO Max, as opposed to making sure that I'm signed up. So that's the check.
HBO turned into what they call Max now, just by itself.
Right, I know that. But in my search of my current subscription of HBO Max /Max, I couldn't find it. Therefore, I think I must not have full engagement in the full menu.
Okay.
I gotta sign or
get your shit together. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I've been meaning to do it.
Yeah.
I've been meaning to do it.
Okay, well, we can talk about that. I think I can still remember that into the future because it was such an interesting. Like I told you, I think it's comparable to The Last of Us in.
Yes, in that same kind of moving apocalyptic movements over urban terrain.
Yes, and you don't. You don't even need. A lot of this was not even urban. A lot of this was like walking across Lake Michigan when it's frozen in the winter and shit. There's a lot of. It
must have been pretty cold for the whole lake to freeze over.
Well, I mean, when we went to Mackinac Island, they told us that, you know, at some point there's a period where where the boats don't go until the trucks can drive over, but eventually the trucks are driving over Lake Michigan, so that certainly happens.
Across the north-south boundaries.
Look, the Mackinaians definitely told me that during the winter they have trucks that drive over and they set up.
Oh, sure, that's there, but you're talking about across Lake Michigan. That would be to Canada.
I don't know exactly what part of the lake. I don't want to pin you down
too much with. I don't want to pin you down with geography or anything, but when you go from Mackinac City to Mackinac Island, you're crossing Mackinac Channel, not Lake Michigan. It is a tributary of Lake Michigan, but it's not actually like the lake actually runs much larger than that.
Yes.
And so when you say you drive across Lake Michigan, I know what you mean. Your description is lacking quite a bit, but now I know.
Look, they talked about walking some part of it from.
Walking now? No trucks?
No. The apocalypse.
Why is that script always running? God damn it! I do this shit every day.
What are you running a script?
Yes, there's a thing that comes up that says the script is running and taking up space. Do you want to stop it? And I say yes. It's like, how many? What, I gotta keep telling you?
God, it's like
I tried to script this whole get that shit out of there.
Podcast, but whatever. So that was cool, and COVID was shitty but survivable.
Yeah.
And
and
I am so happy to work for a company that where I can just say, I got COVID. See you next week.
I'll catch up with you.
And they're like, okay, good luck. And then when I said that on Tuesday, by Friday I was already okay and was working. But yeah, that's cool. Hey, I will continue with the mic. When I was in.
And so you shall. So you shall. I shall relinquish my time.
Okay, no, let's go to you.
Back to you, Chet. Back to you, Chet. No, I'm intrigued.
So
you've got one little anecdote after another.
When I was in,
we haven't talked a while. You're obviously all pent up. Go on, come forth.
When I was in Alicante, I met a listener.
What? When you were where?
So this is a Polish lad who I actually met.
His name is Stanley, isn't it?
No, his name is Piotr.
Yes, it is.
Piotr.
Yes.
My name is Piotr.
Yes.
My middle name is Stanley.
Yes. And we were just on a bus going from one venue to another, and he said to me, "Hey, I've listened to your podcast about drinking or whatever it is." And I was like, "Oh, really?" And he said, "Go ahead."
Oh, too funny. Hey,
And
you gotta help me. How do I?
But Mike
How do
button
I
at the
stop
bottom
the
of the
sound quickly?
Mike button.
There's the mic.
At the there you go. Okay, he muted. And he
too funny.
He said, yeah. And I actually met him last year, 2022, in May was the first time I met him, and he said,
And he still listens.
no, he said, I listened before I ever met you in person, just to get a feel for who you were or whatever, and he hasn't listened since. But
Well, it's just as I thought then.
but he was like, oh, I totally listened to like one or two of your podcast episodes, and I was like, cool. Well, what do you think? And he was like, well, just to get a sense of your voice, I guess, because I had never met you, but now that I've met you, I don't need. But anyway, I thought that was freaking hilarious too, that we briefly had a Polish listener. And
Peter Stanley.
yes, so hats off to Peter Stanley, and may your Polish God be with ye.
Amen.
How are you doing?
Polish icon
in the dark. Oh no, the light just turned on. Okay, no, it went off again.
Well, it's the sun is. There's clouds.
Yes,
They're moving by.
we briefly had a
That's-
lunar eclipse, but it was cloudy, and so we couldn't see it last week.
Wow, that's cool.
So, tell me about your.
seen the-
have you
I've
been?
been-
Have you caught a fish or something? What's new in your world, man?
Oh well, so
In the last
let's
frickin'
see.
month.
In a month. Yes, I did go to the Pierre Marquette, and I caught a trout that was worthy of a picture, brown trout, and nice salmon, couple others maybe. I went back again yesterday, Sunday. What's today? Wednesday? Tuesday. I went yesterday morning to the Pierre Marquette. My wife and I went to Newaygo and booked a room in that hotel I've talked to you
Newaygo.
with the cool Newaygo, near the Newaygo Brewing Company. It's called the Muskegon River Inn. It's fantastic. Woman who takes care of us owns the place. Her name is Heather, and beautiful appointed room, all brick walls and
Okay.
tiled in double shower, heated floor in the shower, big screen TV,
Nice.
hardwood floors, ceiling to floor ceiling windows,
Ceiling to floor walls.
16 foot tall tin ceilings, chandelier in the
Tin
middle of the
ceilings.
room. Tin ceilings.
But the walls were floor to ceiling though, right?
Yeah, except in one spot where there's a giant hole. I got lost in it for about, seemed like 15
I think they
minutes.
call that a
but
window.
It actually was 76 days I was gone, but my wife waited. She's a good woman.
Well, that explains
So I've
our
gone
absence.
undercover now. You can't see my eyes.
Yes, you're. Everyone listening should pay for the Patreon video feed to see this nonsense.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's well worth
Yes.
it. Spend your good money here.
Bring it on. Cool.
Bring it out.
And
So we got snowfall when we were up
Did
there.
you?
It started snowing when I was fishing. And the area we left gathered 8 inches of snow, while here at home we had about an inch we woke up to this morning.
nice.
I'm yet to winterize, but there's 57 degrees this weekend, so I will dedicate my resources to that. I'm taking a trip. I'm going back east to fish with my brother Tim in, among other places, the Oak River, which feeds off Lake Ontario and has the best year of brown trout that it's had in decades. That's right.
According to the gossip online.
Video. Yeah, I mean, it's more than gossip. It's footage. It's documentary level degree footage of men with fish and women, but mostly men. So
look, man, we're getting close to a point where you can't even believe video footage anymore. So just be wary.
You predicted it.
Just saying.
You predicted it pretty much to the month. And I'll tell you what, I watched Bill Maher the other day, and this dude, I'd have to search out his name, I can't remember, but he was smart. And he talked about this new drug that reduces addictions to food, to booze, to everything as more important to the future of the world than AI. And he described the industries that are created by obesity, the replacement surgeries and the bone restructuring and the hospitals and the sickness and the mortuaries, the whole industry of sickness, aging, and death. And if anybody gets in the way of that, holy shit, the whole world comes to a freaking completely new dimension. And as a result, right now, future purchase of products are being premonitioned by the prediction of weight loss.
Yes.
Airlines are going to recover billions of dollars because people won't weigh so much. Industries are assessing what will happen when people don't have to replace their fucking knees anymore because they're obese. When you add it all up, it's $1 trillion. And this dude on Bill Maher talked about it at length. It would be a worthwhile clip to look up and listen to. It was one of those moments where, in a very great oral paragraph, this guy nailed exactly why this important point, how he could make this important point clear.
Was it this week?
No, I don't want to say that. It was the episode that Andrew Cuomo was on.
So I think you're thinking of Scott Galloway.
That's him, and he's a health writer, is he not?
He's a clinical professor of marketing for the New York University Stern School of Business, public speaker, author, podcast host. Yeah, there's.
I wonder if some of the people listen to him listen to us.
I'm sure, for sure.
Petre.
Hey, welcome, Galloway heads.
Welcome. Let's give him the Galloway sign.
Yes, Galloway.
G-L-O-R-I Gallery. Pretty good, huh?
Very, very, very good.
Pretty good, huh?
I have to link to him.
You can't ignore it. When I do something like that, you can't ignore it and move on. You had to comment.
No, that was amazing. I was thinking of the Steve Winwood Valerie song. We're saying Galloway, but I can't conjure that at the moment. Anyway, let's leave that to an exercise for the listener, or half a listener, or whatever. So, one thing we have to talk about is my magnificent AI artwork of us. So, there's now this thing. It's so it's so dumb that the OpenAI company named their image generation DALL-E as a joke with Salvador Dali and the Wall-E Pixar movie. But now there's a new version called DALL-E 3 that you can just you just type text to, and it comes up with it will come up with an image for whatever you asked for. So I
can you show me those, or do I need to go to the?
You might need to
no, that's
go
too complicated.
Find them, but I asked them. I asked it. Make me a movie poster of a 70-year-old man with an unkempt white hair and a beard in a podcasting studio with a 40-year-old man. See how I made you older and me younger? With short brown hair and green eyes. And they're making each other laugh. Tumblers of whiskey are on the table. That's what I gave it. And it came back to me with this image that will be the show art for this episode for sure. And you need to go to happyhour.fm/197 to see that for sure. But
197.
we're getting so close. If we hadn't fucked around this past month, we would have been up to 200 already, but we're not there yet.
Well, for nothing other than posterity, I would assume.
Yes. So anyway, it came up with these images of this old geezer that kind of looks like Dennis, and this young guy that doesn't.
Well, I don't know
like,
that he looks like me.
The young guy doesn't look like me at all either.
No, and that's not what it's about. It captures, in fact, the spirit of it,
yes.
and in a way that is kind of multidimensional. And it's sort of like, so in what world can we look at that is doing the same kind of thing we're doing, and we get two glimpses into what that world looks like.
Yes, exactly.
And it's not intended to be a copy. It's not intended to be identical by any stretch. Intended to be the same parameters of this joyous thing.
Yes, and
those are two. I'll tell you, they're very happy. They're both shots are two people having a great time.
Indeed, which is what we strive to achieve here.
Indeed, as we try to achieve what we strive to achieve, what we try to achieve, what we achieve.
Yeah.
That could make me go into a coughing rage. Anyway, so I contracted this apparent lung problem from one of my grandchildren that results in a cough, and it's been 2 weeks in the making. I've been on steroids that were supposed to knock it out. They didn't.
What the?
I'm taking a pill in lieu of a cough medicine, and I'm not sure that my habits are quite inducive to healing, giving my opportunity this past week to see one of my favorite local rhythm and blues band, Gator Boys. Lead guitarist Jim Prine, and did a full
in relation
first
to John?
set. Of course, a question, don't know. But I played with the dude. In fact, I had to tell you a story I thought was funny where, I'm playing harp with this dude, and he's singing this great blues tune. We got a rhythm guitar player who's up from the crowd. We got a drummer who's up from the crowd, and we're killing it. We're having fun with it. And to be funny, when it was over, I said in kind of a hillbilly accent to be funny, I said, "God damn it, boys, we's making music." To which I kind of yelled, you know. To which this dude, the lead guy, the Jim Prine, looked at me and said, "Take it easy, Grandpa." Take it easy, Grandpa. Yeah. You know, sort of like to say there's more to come. He said, "What do you got?" And I said, "You give me the key and I'll play it." And we did for like 3-4 tunes.
Nice.
I love this. Very gracious musician. But I'll tell you a more recent story that you know how much is enjoyed.
But how great is that you can just like say a key and then just jam out with each other, like knowing.
So case in point, you know Tom Duffield, the piano player I've talked about many times. I sit down with him. Well, he's put together a little 3-man band with a Mike on lead guitar and the best drummer, one of the best drummers in town, if not the best drummer in town, Joe Garcia on drums. And they got this threesome. And Tom does a little bit of singing. Joe doesn't do much. Mike doesn't do any. And after, in the first 3 or 4 tunes, in this wonderful place that you will recall me talking about affectionately called the Sugar Bowl, where the seats in the place were 8 to 10 people, mostly people who were family and friends of the band members, and then a few other people at the bar with no advertising whatsoever, no social media whatsoever. Ridiculous. But anyway, a quaint, wonderful gathering of people, and these guys are on stage all mic'd up, ready to go, man. A threesome, and while they're playing the blues and Tom Twinkle keys, he says to one of the dudes in the audience, is a fellow musician named Mitch, you got something you can sing to this? And Mitch put up his hands. He said, "No, I don't, but I'll bet Dennis does." And Tom looked over at me and he said, "What do you got?" And I said, "Well, what is it?" He said, "We're making it up." And I said, "Do you want me to make up the lyrics?"
Yeah, baby.
And he said, "It's up to you." And I said, "I got this." And so I crafted a tune called Stella May.
Nice.
And remark later that certainly any song that has it as central character Stella May is going to be a pretty good blues tune. Pretty good blues tune. And so from that point forward, I got to play harp and sing with them for 2 hours.
Nice. Sitting
at the table closest to the band, 12, 15 people there. Just what a time, man. What a time.
Nice, baby. So today is a holiday in Spain. Today being November the 1st. Do you know what holiday today is?
It's All Souls Day.
Indeed. And do you know what Spaniards do on that day?
Yes, they commemorate the dead in all sorts of parades and private sessions, and with candles and fire and smoke.
Good guess. Good guess. But no.
It wasn't a guess. No. I'm right.
No.
The
Spaniards all go and buy flowers and take them to this cemetery to put on the graves of their ancestors. And it's a very solemn day, but it's better for the florists than Valentine's Day. Like, they sell more flowers.
I would imagine.
Because
there's more people dead than who are in love.
That is so true. That.
Quote me.
Like, I'm going to put that on my Valentine next February.
Maybe that's our subtitle.
Yes.
Could be our subtitle.
Hey, baby.
There's more people dead than who are in love.
than love each other like us. Yes, how sweet. There are more people dead than those that love you. Yeah. So that's a huge thing today. But because I work for this liberal Swedish company that respects local holidays, I was not working today, so that was pretty cool.
Isn't that something?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, man, you got the life, bro. You got the life.
Yeah, it doesn't suck that much. And
so I'll tell you a great thing that happened to us. We drove north to Newaygo and went to our hotel.
Can you take a Winnebago to
street.
Newaygo?
As far as we go,
Yeah. Okay. Continue.
it's we go right by Otsego.
There you go. Continue.
Hey, so let's lift a glass to
Big Mike.
Passing of what I call Sasquatch Mike.
Yes. When my father was here, he and I, obviously he did most of the work. He wrote a song to be sung at Mike's wake, and
Big Mike.
and he sent that to me, and I took it and I sent it directly to ChatGPT, and I said, "Hey, give me some chords for this song that are happy," and it gave me back some chords, and I was like, "No, that's too happy. Throw an A minor in there somewhere." And then it gave me back another set of chords that I liked better, and I worked those out. And in theory, those are going to be performed by Dr. Pud and potentially Mr. Shirley at a performance.
Phil's got some skill, man.
So that will be my contribution. It's a beautiful song about how amazing and loving our friend Mike was. As I mentioned maybe in an email thread that you were on, he's the only one of our North Carolina friends that has actually come to see me in my town. Like he planned a vacation in northern Spain and said, "Hey, I'm going to be coming through your area," and he got up with me and he met up with me and he came to my house, and then we went out to a bar for a drink, and then he went on his way. But just how crazy that is that happened even is kind of beautiful. So
He's an adventurer. At the heart of him, an adventure, and like a lot of adventures, is off on his own. I mean, I remember when we were golfing down in Myrtle Beach one year, that Mike in a golf club is like a crazy geometric shape that doesn't make a lot of sense. He's so big, and the golf clubs are so small, and he kept shanking them into the woods again and again. But when he shanked him 180 yards because he was so big. And that set him off to go search for balls.
Yes.
And he became so enamored with finding balls and searching for balls that as he went just off the edge of the deep rough into the woods, you could see his figure coming and going, picking up and finding balls. And if the light was just right, you were sure that it was Sasquatch.
Yes.
With his 6'5" frame and his his peculiar gait as he shuffled through to find these balls, and he was the Sasquatch Mike.
My one of my favorite memories of him is where, you know, we have this like storytelling competition at this golf outing that we do, and he wrote this fucking poem on the back of one of the score sheets or whatever, and he recited this beautiful, like rhyming poem, and it moved all of us to start humming the Hymn of the Republic or whatever it is, and it was just such a moving.
Mine eyes have seen the glory of the coming of the Lord.
Exactly. We were all humming that, and it was so just patriotic and beautiful, and for a long time. And after that happened, I found that piece of paper and I put it in my suitcase, and for a long time I had that just like traveling with me wherever I went in my suitcase, and I can't imagine that I would have thrown that piece of paper away, but
you haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it lately, so I suspect it's probably around somewhere. But I do. So, I think I'm pretty sure I have a video of that particular moment, and just how glorious that was. We were all so gloriously moved by just his words and his presentation and his stature of standing up and presenting that to us. It was just glorious.
Well, he was a performer, you know, and his life was performing art. I mean, Mike loved the idea of what he did and what he could do. And when he would just leave and go somewhere and do something, and for example, getting on a friend's boat and deciding they were going to go all the way around the Michigan Peninsula, through the Mackinac Straits and back again, but not really tell anybody where he was, what he had done, where he was going, when he'd be back. But it was an adventure, and him standing in the wind of the hull of this all wooden boat that him and his oldest friend on earth, Marty, had bought and renovated. Marty, in fact, a young man who, when Mike Masterson went to his first day of school and reported to the dorms, he met a young man in his room whose name was Marty, and it was his first roommate.
Aww.
And this is the guy who 40, 50 years later has an all wooden freaking walnut boat that he's restored, and there they are dashing over the waves through Mackinac Strait. And the last thing that is on Mike's mind is anybody that he needs to talk to.
Right. Because he's present in the moment, so present.
He's in the moment. It's a moment that it's a big moment.
Which is we should all strive to that.
Mike was full of large moments.
Yes.
Mike was full of pronounced moments. That's why the stories are so prolific.
And grand, yeah.
And his middle name was Danger Is My Business. And so no risk taking is ever worth not taking the risk. You can put that as an epitaph.
No risk taking is ever not
worth not taking the risk.
Yes.
In other words, just fucking do it. Don't worry about the gas can. Don't worry about the spark plugs. Don't worry about the lights on the shore. Don't worry about a map. Don't worry about a compass. One image that I have that's got to be inlaid in the whole Big Mike story is as we were driving in the back of his truck toward a place to put a boat in that we were hauling behind us. We passed a boat that was partially in the woods that had been there for some time.
Oh, no.
His older boat. And hanging in the boat was a rod and reel, and on the end of the hook was the carcass, just the bones of a fish that had been there for whatever length of time it takes to just be the bones of a fish. And I looked over at John White, I believe it was, and I looked at him and I pointed to him and I said, "This is everything you need to know about Mike."
That's beautiful.
This is it. Forget that boat and that pole. We got a new one behind us. It's a better deal.
Wow.
Oh Lord God, he was no caution to the wind. He was the antithesis of planning. He is the antithesis
Which
of
it's a
going with the flow.
yeah, it's a thing that I think we should all strive to be to some extent, right? Because I think a lot of us
Not to the,
to some
I might add
extent.
quickly, not to the extent that he was.
Yes, but we all get in our heads sometimes about what if, and if we could be more like Jesus. You just said just do it, but be like Mike is another Nike slogan that their lawyers are going to sue us over. But
I doubt it. So what? $6.13.
That's not even what we're making this year, let alone a month.
That's all I have in my pocket. That's what I'm saying.
That sense of fuck it, let's do it. Of this could go horribly wrong, but let's just see where this goes or whatever. Like that's that level of just living life should be respected, and I think we do.
Yeah, he was.
I heard a story about one time, maybe you were there, where there was something about fire and drums.
Oh yes.
Tell me the story.
So it was the first time I met Mike, and it was out in one of, as I learned later, to be one of his many, 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 many homes that he bought. And it was this very strange.
Was he super wealthy, or was he just like?
No, he was just smart.
Smart. Okay.
He would just sell something and make some money, and then use it as a down payment and make a little more money. And he was smart. He knew how to move money. He knew how to make money. But anyway, and he bought properties that made good resale. This one was out in the country, but it was strange because it was what I call a baked cinder block house, meaning it was cinder block, but because the outside was baked a brown, it was gorgeous. And he had a Halloween party, and Nikki and
this
I.
This is good for our current recording date.
Yes, indeed, being All Souls Day as we said. And I remember that year I went as a marijuana garden.
You?
And so, yes, what the central piece of the costume, there were two central pieces. One was I roped to my body corn stalks that made me, in fact, almost 7 feet tall. And that was central. But the secondary was a carved out pumpkin mask that was heavier than what made sense for me to have to control it, but I was inside the pumpkin head, and then in my hands for staffs.
So bad.
Right, 2 staffs like walking sticks were in fact corn stalk, but reinforced corn stalk. And then tied to my back, right, over the top of my head by the corn stalks,
Yes.
was a marijuana plant that had a large bud hanging from it. And all through the evening, I would go up to people. They would pinch a little bud, you know, stick it in their little pipe or whatever. But that night, my costume deteriorated as the night went on, and Mike talked about it for years, about the mess I made. But back to the story of the drums, that night, there was this event, this event, like almost like a stage show.
Can you?
Where in the distance,
Is this like 1985 or 90 or what?
I'm 30 years old, so it's 1984.
Okay, 85, we'll say.
You know, okay. and so there, we're all in the back of the house off the deck, and then somewhat down, away from the house, like at the bottom of the lawn, Mike has done a bonfire. It's actually safely, more appropriately away from the house than Mike has ever done anything since.
Right.
But it also was kind of far away from the house. And what I saw, without any explanation, was him taking his drum set, piece by piece by piece, and lifting it over his head and throwing it into the fire, where it caught on fire to the
interesting
awkward applause of the group, and Mr. Garden Man, Marijuana Garden Man, wondering exactly what I was saying. But here's the point: is I said to him later, I said, "Hey man, what is the story? What is the background with the drums and his fire?"
This is super interesting because...
And he just looked at me, and he said, "It was time, man. It was just time."
Memory is so amazing. There have been books written about if you go and interview people that know exactly where they were and what was going on when Kennedy was assassinated or 9/11 or whatever, and they will tell you the details about, oh, this coworker was with me, or this person, this friend or whatever, and then you go and interview those other people and they have totally different stories. Your story is totally different from the one I've heard.
From whom?
I don't recall who I heard the story from, but I recall Mike doing something where he was like playing the drums as they were on fire, and like had like lighter fluid and shit, and the drums were on fire.
Oh well.
And
wait a minute.
And that like sort of like part of the house burned down. And maybe that's a different incident with.
No.
Maybe I'm correcting you.
And I had actually forgotten.
Okay, so this is what I'm like. That's how amazing memory is that we want to remember a narrative, and you just fabricated a narrative with your memory of Mike and drums and fire, but that. But like every time we remember anything, we're just fabricating. It's kind of interesting. But do you want to, given my prompt, do you want to recall differently? There was something about like he was like.
No, I kind of
Blue Man Group.
I kind of remember the entree of that. Yes, of lighter. As soon as you said it, it flashed. Lighter fluid on the drums, light them on fire, bang it a few times, pick it up and throw it into the bigger flames. I do. That's it.
Okay,
just happened.
so maybe it was.
It was the same night.
I sort of heard.
He didn't burn two drum kits.
I sort of heard that like it was indoors and like there was a important fire that caused problems. But you're saying that this was outdoors, and
I wouldn't put past Mike that there would be a story like that.
but
At
so
all.
anyway, how interesting is that? But go well into the night, Sir Mike, with your drums and your fire. We miss you, and we have. So
I wonder sometimes about how, because he was so big, that everybody always expected him from the time he was born to be able to accomplish great things and be on his own, because he was so big he could handle anything.
that's got to be emotionally a thing, right?
He was set aside. He was set alone. He was never like everybody else. Ever. Ever.
And when you're so physically big, yeah, like people must just not care about.
If you're really small, sometimes people don't see you.
There's that. But if you're really big,
You know.
people don't think that you could possibly be in pain or whatever.
Well, just, like, right, kind of, monster proportionality or some type of but, the other thing, too, in his growing up with his brother, who was quite a bit older than him, as a second child, which I am, too, there's a whole psyche around achievement.
Sure.
And Mike was a great achiever. He set his sights on stuff that and he made it happen. He made it happen, whether it was worldwide travel or whether it was the jobs he did. I mean, he was a force to be reckoned with. People were right about him. They were right about how much he could do on his own without help. And there's a sadness in that too.
Sure.
There's a sadness in it because he died alone, and he wanted to.
Right. Exactly.
That's fierce. That's fierce independence. That's fierce, wild, out of this world independence.
True that. So yeah, that. Suffice it to say, we lost a friend, and
Here's to Mike.
here's to Mike.
Well, one of the things that was always striking with Mike and I shared a lot was our love of music. And the night that he had his last party with his boys from Richland, Michigan, Marty, and that whole company of men that he's known forever, there was an annual birthday party that Marty and another dude, name I can't recall right now, but they did it annually together every year since they were 16, and now they're in their 70s.
Jesus Christ.
And that's the party that Mike was coming up to go to. And so I picked him up at the airport, and he put him up at my house. We drove, and I made certain he had a plan of how he was going to get to where he was going to get. But one of the things that he said at the party related to the music, and we were people were getting called up, and we were putting together little 3 and 4 man bands throughout the evening, was he told me again, as he did so many times, again and again, one of his favorite tunes that he had never written was I'm so miserable since you've gone, it's almost like you never left.
Is that where you got that?
Yes.
Wow.
And so I have begun the writing of.
That's such
of
a
that.
beautiful lyric.
We're gonna.
I thought that was yours
because I gotta go.
I thought that was a Dennis lyric, but it's not.
I'm so miserable since you're gone. It's almost like you never left.
Yes.
I'm so tired of being alone. I think that's all that I have left. Oh, those memories can't be true. Every day I argued with you. I'm so bad to reminisce, but there ain't nothing left to miss. Oh, I'm so miserable since you're gone. It's almost like you never left. These false memories that I have, oh, I know that's all that's left. If you were to come back to me, I don't think that I could see a way that it would work out, because all we ever did was shout. I'm so miserable since you're gone. It's almost like you never left. Don't leave me here all alone. It's something I just can't accept.
Nice.
Big Mike.
Thank you for that. Big Mike. Love you, man.
I love you, man. I'm out of here. This is sad.
Peace, brother. Okay, that's it for episode number 197. Rest in peace, Big Mike. We were both in tears at the end of that, I believe. You can find the show notes at happyhour.fm/197. You can support the show at patreon.com/happyhour. And just love the ones you're with, man. That's all I've got to say. See you next week.